So for the past 2 decades, I have practiced product design. And all the while there was always changes, you're talking about UI-specific tools moving from, Photoshop to tools like Sketch, and then eventually Figma. There was new platforms like mobile and social and wearables. But this moment feels different for a lot of reasons. And those reasons are ethical, political, economical. I've lived through the arc of sort of the soaring height of tech optimism, where we were like, hey, we're going to change the world for the better. Everyone's going to be connected, to where we are now, which I think is a lot of well-earned tech cynicism. So why am I making this video? Ever since I learned how to use design tools, I have made articles, videos, content to help people with those tools and to teach people those tools, regardless of what happens in other industries. And we don't know the future, but I have been spending the last couple months with these tools, and they are changing how I work. And I think that they will change how you work out there, prospective product designer or current product designer. You probably have a lot of anxiety if you have not messed with vibe coding, as they call it. You might have some anxiousness or reservations about what it is and how it's used. And today I thought together I would just show you really like the simplest form of it that you can do in just a few minutes. The tools I've been using are Claude Code specifically, and Figma. Figma is still part of my workflow. It's still an important part. And I don't think right now AI is a great go-wide exploration tool for me in my workflow yet. Maybe you're even looking for a job. Maybe you're one of these people that was laid off. I also went through a layoff this year. And you're like, I don't even know what this is. When people talk about it, I get more anxiety. I don't know, right? Like, I don't even know if I can do it or want to do it. I'm not ready for this next wave of things. I felt like I wasn't for a time. And why I'm not considering it like Ryan's class on vibe coding is the information that I share with you today is probably going to be outdated at the pace. It's probably going to be outdated in a week, but let's say it'll be outdated in a quarter, or certainly, 6 months. So I'll just make fresh versions of getting started until things start to settle down. And I also have a large repertoire of how to work with these tools. I want you to go get yourself a trial of Claude Code. You don't have to give anybody any money. If you want to subscribe, you can. I'm not here pitching you Claude Code. And if you already have Figma, we're going to open up Figma as well, and I'm going to show you a little bit how these things interact. I just want to show you the feeling of what it feels like to do some of this stuff. Okay, this part's already gone on too long. Let's jump over to the computer and, hey, take a chance. Come with me. Okay. So here it is, a zoomed in, albeit Claude Desktop app. And why am I using the desktop app? Because I think if you are new to this, I think it is the friendliest, most approachable way of getting started. And it's a lot more like a designer-forward interface. You can certainly use these things inside of tools like VS Code. If you like that software, I know people use Cursor, which is sort of more integrated into things. There's also command line, so if you just want to do this in terminal, you can do all that. But let's use the desktop app, because I think it is the most approachable, especially if you've never done this before. The last thing I want to show you is that inside, I'm going to go into settings. Inside you see connectors. I've got my GitHub account here. And if you don't have a GitHub account, I think it's great to have regardless. If you're in product design, you probably want to have your own GitHub, and I do. So I am going to use this desktop app and use, hopefully, GitHub in a way that means I never really have to make something new. So let's actually start our adventure in Safari, where I'm going to create a new repo on GitHub. In this case, I'll call it Pizza Shop. It's a pizza shop website. Let's call this Pizza Shop tutorial. And yeah, it's public. That's fine. Everything here's fine. There's no license. It just is what it is. And it's like, here's how to do it. I'm going to go ahead and set it up in desktop. This is going to open up GitHub, and it's going to ask me, hey, where do you want this thing? And I'm going to put it in my projects in a folder called Pizza Shop. So what am I doing? I am saying, hey, this stuff that is over in GitHub, I want it. Here you go, I'll zoom in for you a little bit. I want it on my computer. And so there's a folder that represents the work that we're going to do on my computer. You don't have to do this, by the way. You could totally work on your own local machine, but this is going to give us a little bit better access to things. So I'm going to now select a folder, choose a different folder. I'm going to choose Pizza Shop. And here's Pizza Shop tutorial. I'm going to use that. And so here it shows you it's hooked up to my GitHub, Pizza Shop tutorial, everything's going to be here. And now let's try something really totally from scratch. Make me a one-page website for a Denver-based pizza shop inspired by the colors of pizza and the Italian flag. Now, was it not like that I didn't capitalize it? Didn't capitalize this, very casual language typing like you might text to somebody, and we'll hit go. Actually, let's give it some requirements. It should have a hero headline and subhead, a link to a menu page, a simple website nav, and only a one-page website. How about a link to a menu that opens in a modal. So it's all one page. Okay, we're gonna hit go, and I'll see you when this is done, because it might take a few minutes. So what you're seeing here is this thing is spending time, and it's using tokens. Tokens are really the things that you are paying for, and every time a token is used, something is being generated by a computer out there. And this is one of the things that is causing all these data centers to be built and using all this energy, and pretty controversial, right? Like, while this is thinking, I think this is a good time to talk about how I think one thing that still makes product design tools really useful in a workflow is that they don't charge for usage, right? Like, Claude will hit a limit, and AIs will be like, you're out until you either subscribe for more money or pay us per token used. Maybe you're lucky enough to work at a company that's like basically covering these costs for you. But, I think if Figma charged us, 2 cents every single time we drew a rectangle, it would disincentivize exploration. And I think there's a lot of beautiful waste that goes into the design process. And I'm not using waste in a negative way, but rather like byproduct that is not meant to make it to the light of day. And that's part of how creative people explore things. Okay, look at that. Pizza born at Mile High. Let's hide this little thing. So you can literally open this up in your local web browser, but they give you one, which is why I was kind of talking about how things are a little bit more friendly here. Pi's worth a drive. So look at that. They've done some hover states. It wrote all this copy. That's where all these tokens went to, right? The Rockies meet Napoli. Wow. Okay. It doesn't look that bad. So we'll go see our menu. And, you know, this is kind of vibe designing. We're like, maybe, let's face it, for most people, heck, if you're a freelancer and you're making stuff for clients, maybe this is it. Now I want to show you one last small thing to talk to you about, like how these things like fit together. I hate this name. Montaga? Tagna? Yeah, no good. So let's open up Figma. Good old Figma. And let's get specific about something, right? So we have this kind of Denver, Colorado, established 2019. And I don't love it. I'm going to actually zoom out so I can see it in a normal view. And let me show you how these things talk to each other. So I'm going to take this, right? And I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to make a text layer in Figma. Then, let's see, I'm not sure what font that is. I can inspect it. I can say, like, what font are you using? And you could be really specific. You could say, what font are you using for Denver, Colorado, established 2019? Okay, so it's Georgia. By the way, sometimes it will lie to you. So that's something to keep in mind. So let's say I want this thing to look more like a plaque or something. So I'm going to put an auto layout around it. You know, we'll do some designer things to it. I'll get like some kind of dark badge. Here, we'll give ourselves a light background so we can. Oh, all right. Well, we won't do that. Let's just do it like this. It's kind of like a cheesy. Okay. So I want the padding to be double wide. I want it a little rounded. Maybe I want a little decoration here. So I'm going to make 2 little tilde text layers. And I'm going to make one tilde red. I'm going to make the other one green. And maybe I'm going to take this font. I'm going to dial up that. And I'm basically just applying styles so that we can see how these things work. Now here, you don't have to, but I like to name the layers. So we'll call this established badge. Call that decoration, and that's fine. Figma has something called an MCP, a Model Context Protocol, and what it'll do is it'll host this mini server right on your computer. So if Figma's open, you can go into dev mode or inspect mode. And I've already got mine turned on, but I'll turn it off for a second. Just so we can see what it does. Can I turn it off? Yeah, so maybe I can't even turn it off anymore. It might be in Figma settings. MCP. Yeah, so you can turn it on or turn it off. But here you can see 250 tokens. And you can copy this example. You don't have to say it exactly like this. Really, all you need is the URL. I can say, I'd like the established badge to look more like this. Now, in my experience, when I press this button, it's going to do its best to look at what's going on here. And I would say it gets it completely right about 10% of the time. But it gets it much closer. So let's hit go here. And now this is going to ask if it's allowed to go and get that context. I'm going to say, sure, go ahead. It's already written 700 lines of code for us. It's taking a screenshot of the exact area. That's information it's getting from Figma. And now you're going to see it sort of click by click, step by step, go through. I should have looked at this 100%. Go through, and there you go. It's in there, and that's pretty close. That's pretty close. And that was in one go. So let's hit refresh on this thing. Just see how the page feels when we refresh it. Oops. Yeah, it's pretty static. So what do we say? The whole thing feels pretty static. Can you build in the hero header on page load? Make the headline first, then the established, then the subhead and buttons. So I'm describing this animation in a way that I think is right. I want the badge to feel like a bloop, but the headline feel smooth. These are all fuzzy words that I would use, to describe something to a great dev partner that I'm working with. And we would go and maybe look at easing values, or you might make a prototype in Figma and kind of show people and be like, yeah, this is kind of what I want it to be. The difference here is this is it. This is not a document that is like, so that's its best bloop, I guess, at first pass. Let's watch it again. Bloop. And I could go on and on and on, right? And tweak this animation through my language. And it's telling you like what it does with it. It's got a springy overshoot bounce on a delay. This is what this feels like. Okay? We didn't do anything scary. And if you're like, I don't know how to use GitHub, like, let me show you this. Let's commit these changes to GitHub. And that's all we're going to do today. That was it. So what did we do? What did we learn? We learned about asking this thing for a big piece of design, and it totally inferred these. I have made an app on the App Store, and that app is a baby tracker because I'm a first-time dad, and you can see here I made whole screenshots and documents where I was explaining, hey, this is how I want this thing to work. I made my components, and I was able to build this in Xcode, in Swift, entirely with the help of this thing. Something I never dreamed of being able to do on my own. Yep. And so I'm literally just saying, yeah, you're allowed to run these commands and get this stuff up. And it says it published it. So let's go look at GitHub. There's an index.html page. And because I'm not a developer, I couldn't tell you how I can preview it here. But this is the other thing, right? Which is like, there is these tools, these developer tools, they're great. And they're for developers, and you may find yourself, working in a code base where you yourself are going and looking at these things, and you are like being asked to make changes. Maybe now that we've got that up there, we'd be like, let's make the menu button heat waves come off of it when I hover. We'll just do that to show you what's going on here. So I did that. I'm just asking it for a thing. And over here, it's going to take those changes. It's going to make them in GitHub. And it's going from your computer to GitHub. And like before, maybe you're like, oh, I've used GitHub in the past, and don't I need to run like git pull, git push, and all these things? Yes, you can still do that. You can still use GitHub in the way that if you know how to use GitHub, you can do so. But also, if you want to use GitHub in a way that is like, I don't ever want to know how to use GitHub, you kind of can. And that's pretty extraordinary. That is pretty extraordinary. Let's come back when this is done. Okay, so it says it's done, and look at this. It did it to the wrong button. It chose this view menu. I meant the see our menu button. And this is the thing about the robot being wrong, right? Is like, it's burning tokens to do this. Like, this costs somebody money, either you directly or the place you're working for, to get these things wrong. Okay, so we'll see here. Double check the preview panel. Oh, it's fun, but it's only when I click down. So you can see, right? It's just being wrong in these cases. Now it's only happening when I click. And I would find that, like, honestly, when these things start to go down this road of like being wrong, that it can be quite hard to pull them out of it. So here you might like start a new chat, right? Just erase its memory and be like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing. And you can start a new chat and you pick the same folder. And there you go, you're off to the races. These are imperfect tools. Why? Because they're probabilistic, right? They're like, when I said the menu button, it was just as likely to choose whichever menu button struck its fancy. So some of the skills that you'll learn as you work in this way is when to be specific, when to let it interpret. In all these cases, and by the way, I don't think this is a good design, right? Like, I think that's the other thing about it. But I can tell you, in my job, I'm working in a very sophisticated, very large code base. I'm working with a lot of complicated components and elements. I'm working in technologies and frameworks in a web app that has a lot of complexity in it. And I am committing changes that are going into production because I can dial them in and I can get it. And there's nobody between me and what ends up in the customer's hands. Here we go. Terrible. I don't think it looks great, but it did do it. My point is, you can dial it in and you can design it and then tell it, I want the heat lines to look like this. All of this stuff is done by you. So that was lines of code change. And let's not worry about the GitHub command. Be like, great. Add these changes to GitHub. And it is going and running all those GitHub commands for you. It's just doing it, right? So it's going, and I'm just hitting okay, like do whatever you need to do. This is one of the core user experience things that I think are really lousy on these things, which is like, this thing could be, asking for your firstborn child. You have to give it these permissions to do the things. And I think all these tools deserve to be scrutinized for all this reason. This was like just a moment. Nothing I did here was super scary. Is it a very different way of working? Yes. Do I think we have a lot to figure out about like how we get these robots to be good? There's a lot of tools and other things to make them much better, including teaching them skills and skills are basically fancy documents, documenting things, having pre-baked components, dialing in things piece by piece. But there you go. I never ran a git command. I asked it, and it did it. I can even say, how do I view the hosted page on GitHub, not just the file? Right? Maybe I'm not sure how to use GitHub. Okay, it says go here, settings, pages in the left sidebar. Oh, I don't see pages. Maybe it's in here. Oh, settings, pages. Deploy from branch, main, root, save. And then it tells me it's at this URL. Well, let's give it a shot. Maybe not. Configuring domains. I'll be like, I did that. And it didn't work. Right? This is the thing about these LLMs, is they're interpretive. Heck, I'll take a screenshot, I'll drop it in. Another thing I love to do. And you can take screenshots of its own output and be like, hey, it just takes a minute to build. Okay, maybe it just needs some time. Oh, it was right. So look at that. I mean, like, if you had told me, how do you do that, Ryan? Like, how do I make it? I love that it just, like, messed up the height of the buttons and stuff. But, like, we made a web page. I don't think it's a good web page. It's obviously AI slop of a web page. But we did do this specifically, right? We designed it. You watched me make it. And you watched me tell the robot how I wanted it. Then you watched me tell it how I wanted it to come in. Imagine this, but for your website or your app or whatever you're working on. And tell me that you're going to spend all your time meticulously dialing in every detail of a Figma mockup. It just doesn't make sense in that framework anymore. That being said, I still love my product design tools. I'm still using them every day, and they're still an important tool in the arsenal for dialing in details, creating great references, going deep on explorations. These text tools and these coding tools, they don't do that for us yet. I'm going to close this panel. Obviously, there's much more layers of complexity, but like, I hope seeing this today, you saw something that you can imagine extrapolating and being a part of your workflow, and maybe even making you feel like, oh, this isn't really scary. This is just having a development partner that you can give feedback to. It can look at your designs in the way that sometimes you hoped somebody would actually look at. Like, did you even see my font size? Right? Like, and you can, by the way, say things to it like that. We're living in weird times. Okay, this was long, but I wanted you to see what it was all about. I hope it's helpful. Thanks.